Mr. Biffo and the Mysterious Cave. Once upon a time there was a very good boy called Mr. Biffo, who lived alone in a mansion with his dark and tortured past because his dad shot himself in the face with a butler or something. Who cares, it was really dark and stuff, okay? Mr. Biffo was a lonely boy who dreamed of visiting mysterious far-off lands and plundering the burial sites for treasure like any red-blooded Englishman should. Anyway, Mr. Biffo was walking around our city one day when he noticed a mysterious staircase leading down into the bowels of the earth. His curiosity aroused, he slowly crept down the stairs, one by one, alert for any signs of ancient traps. The stairs finished the descent and opened into a dimly lit cave which had a damp, mouldering smell about it, with a sharp edge of artificial citrus. Mr. Biffo was very excited. This cave wasn't a natural formation at all, it was clearly man-made. Perhaps the strange lemony scent was an ancient perfume the likes of which hadn't been smelt for thousands of years. Mr. Biffo groped his way through the gloom, and as he stumbled deeper into the cave he noticed a strange water trough along one of the walls, which occasionally seemed to briefly refill every so often, perhaps powered by some unseen mechanism. The water drained away almost as quickly as it filled, filling only briefly, presumably to avoid becoming stagnant. He scooped a handful of the water from the trough as it filled and tasted it. It had the same citrus tang he'd caught a hint of in the air, and a hint of something bitter in the background. Perhaps this is the fountain of youth and I will live forever. Ha ha. He said to nobody in particular. Mr. Biffo turned and wandered deeper into the cave, and came to a short hallway with small structures that resembled closets or rooms, each fitted with a door. Mr. Biffo wondered if these were perhaps individual burial tombs or graves. Mr. Biffo tried each door in turn, and most of them opened to reveal nothing but an empty urn, with water collected at the bottom, no doubt from years of seepage into the cave from outside. Perhaps there have been robbers here before, he mumbled to himself. The final door he came to was stuck fast, and a strange rumbling sound came from within, almost like a cough. Mr. Biffo grappled with the door, and as he did the sound grew louder, until there was a loud cracking, splintering sound, and the door flew inwards. An enraged humanoid figure squatted behind the door on top of one of the urns, with a ruddy face and murderous gaze. It howled in rage and tried to grab Mr. Biffo, who deftly stepped backwards and sideways, and the creature toppled forward, tripping over some kind of cloth binding fastened around its ankles, its head bouncing off the tiled floor. The monster fell silent, but the smell emanating from the monster was foul, and Mr. Biffo wondered if it was some kind of undead tomb guardian created by ungodly rites to protect a great treasure. Certainly the foul matter oozing from one of its orifices suggested decomposition was in progress. Mr. Biffo noticed that the urn the creature had been guarding was filled to the brim with some kind of damp bandages and earth, and despite the lingering smell of the creature he decided to investigate the contents of the urn further. Mr. Biffo dug into the urn with gusto, digging through the wet earth and sodden bandages with his bare hands, and scooping the invading water out from his excavations and flinging it over his shoulder. Finally, he reached the bottom of the urn, and was astonished at what he found. He reached down and gently lifted the mysterious and beautiful item and placed it carefully in his treasure-collecting pouch. At that point he was tapped on the shoulder by a policeman who arrested him for breaking into a toilet cubicle and causing a man having a poo to knock himself out. "Oh well," said Mr. Biffo, and he didn't wake up because it wasn't a dream. The end.